a weekly recap of your Philadelphia Flyers from blue line to blue line. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Pan & Stone Spa, Pat Dion Beverages, The Capitol Grill, Chickies and Pete's, Payroll Service Solutions, and Independence Blue Cross. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's on the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Now, here are your hosts, former Flyers goaltending great Bernie Parent and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome, everybody, to the beautiful Chickies and Pete's on the campus of Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. This is On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. We're here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM and seen live on YouTube at WBCB Sports. First things first, my co-host tonight, not legendary goaltender Bernie Parent, legendary defenseman Brad Marsh. We will try to get that correct in future comebacks. How are you, buddy?
Doing very well, Jolly. How are you doing?
Very well. A lot of this country is well, not well today. We're going to have some fun and talk hockey and forget about everything that's going on, whether you're happy, unhappy, whoever you voted for. The Flyers lost last night, 6-4. Played a pretty good game, Brad. Got 2 goals scored on them in the last minute, 1 in the last second at Carolina on the first leg of a 3-game Southern swing. Thought they played tough. I'm not into moral victories, but they've lost worse. I thought they skated well, and their offense is better than it has been.
But they still lost. And it's yes, you can talk about the little wins or the little victories last night, but just overall, it's just been, and I'm not saying anything that nobody knows, it's been a disappointing season thus far.
Yep.
And had we had this start last year, I think people would have understood it. We were rebuilding. We still are rebuilding, but people would have been able to fathom it a little easier or stomach it a little easier. But last year was such a great season for the Flyers in the rebuild year. Expectations, as I'm sure you've said on all the shows thus far, expectations were higher, even though Danny and Jonesy and the hockey people were saying, we're still rebuilding, stick with us. But the fans expected more.
Expectations in a lot of people's minds, the longest word in the English language, not in terms of letters, but in terms of pressure that it puts on you. You played a lot of hockey, Brad. You played on teams that were supposed to be good. Played on a lot of teams that weren't supposed to be good. When you start a season, how much, in your opinion, obviously you can't speak for a team, but you can't speak for yourself, how much does that weigh in?
Well, everybody, you spend all summer looking forward to camp, and then camp starts, and you spend camp waiting for the exhibition games to start, and then this is boring, and you can't wait for the regular season to start. And there is a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm for the start of that season, because when you look at it, every player, and yes, it's kind of still the same as it was last year, but every player, it's a new book that everybody's writing. So you're competing for ice time, you're competing for power play time and penalty time and so on and so on. And so the players are very excited to get the season started. And, you look at that first road trip, you can make a case that the start on the road is great. It gets the team together. We won the first game. A tough one against Calgary. We probably should have beat Edmonton in that third game, and we had the lead in the third period versus Seattle. So all of a sudden, you're looking at that start of the road trip, and we could have easily had 5 out of 8 points or 6 out of the 8 points type of thing. And it didn't go so well, and then we start the season flat at home, and so it's just been a downward spiral since then.
Well, the downward spiral just ended for us as our guest came in. We have been waiting for a couple minutes. He is the hair just never. I know it's the cliche, but the hair is just perfect, and every time I say, "Wow." It's unbelievable.
Maybe that's why he was late. He had
Maybe.
He was looking in the mirror there.
Well, that's where you and I differ.
Yeah.
You were here early.
That's right.
80 degrees today, maybe the hair being perfect with the wind.
I played golf today. But my
we got to introduce you first.
They know who he is. We talked about the hair.
That's it. Who else would it be?
The preeminent ref in the history of the National Hockey League and one of the preeminent refs anywhere, a resident of our area, a big golf guy, a world traveler, We've had him on the show many times. Mr. Kerry Fraser, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks a lot for having me. Thank you.
Yep.
Marshy will be able to tell you, like, I came in late. I've missed, the first period before, or maybe 2 or 3.
Of a game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken Hitchcock one time behind the bench, I came out for the third period in the Spectrum, and he said, "Hey, Fraser, get over here." He said, are you pregnant? I said, "What are you talking about?"
He asked you if you were
He
pregnant?
asked me if I was pregnant.
Ken wasn't the world's most svelte guy himself.
No, well, no, he wasn't looking at my weight.
Oh.
He said, "You've already missed 2 periods." Oh, my God. Who said that?
Oh, my God. What happened that you didn't get there before the third period? Traffic?
Yeah.
Plane delays?
Yeah, traffic.
I'll let that one go. Kerry and Brad, we're talking about the Flyers who called up today. Anthony Richard from Lehigh Valley. Ryan Paling got placed on injured reserve. Third Flyer placed on IR due to family problems. Torts says he's a little banged up. Hopefully everything's good in his world. Richard, a speedy winger. 55 goals in the last 2 years, leading the Phantoms in scoring with 9 points in 7 games. Kerry, I was just going to ask Brad, I'll ask both of you guys to kind of fill in a blank, because the Flyers are puzzling this start of the year. You first, I guess. The biggest problem with the Flyers this year, which has led to them having the worst record in the league at this point, is?
Youth. Rebuilding. Marshy was part of a team that, when he went to Ottawa, that wasn't very good, right? Am I correct?
We were terrible.
We were awful. You guys were awful. And there has to be a plan, right? And I really believe that the new management team has a plan. I think John Tortorella, and I want to talk about something he did for us in a little bit, but I think he's the right guy.
The three of us?
For the time. I think he's the right guy for the time.
No, but did he do something for the three of us?
No, he did something.
Oh.
No, he did a charity thing.
Oh, that's nice.
During the rookie camp, he committed to it, and you know what training camp is like. Oh,
Sure.
my God. I mean, and they're in a rebuild, and his job's on the line just like everybody else's, right? And he was incredible. I had Mark Howe, Scotty Hartnell, and Torts at a hot stove talk at Medford Village Country Club. Wait till you hear some of the stuff that he opened up. It was like a can of tuna taking the top off. He was incredible.
And he has a reputation as a hard ass, blah, 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 but he's great with pets. If you get him off the beaten path, he can be a great guy. I'm not that people wouldn't realize that, but a lot of guys, Brad, in their job, whether they're an investment banker or here at Chickies, you can be very intense in your job and have a public image, but be a person with a heart and all kinds of other stuff on the way back. Torts is a lot like that, isn't he?
100%. I know Torts, just to see him, introduced to him, hey, how you doing? I don't really know him, but I have really not heard a criticism about him. Yeah, a player will say, the son of a bitch benched me the other night. Yeah. But that's hockey.
Really, that's life, isn't it?
Well,
anything you do, no matter what.
But anyhow, the vast majority of people have nothing but positive things to say about John Tortorella.
He's a taskmaster, I got to tell you. And I did the final game in 2004 when he won the cup in Tampa with Calgary. I did 2, 5, and 7, and that year, now Craig Ramsey, dear friend of mine, former Flyers coach, one of my best friends in all of hockey.
Yep.
Craig Ramsey?
Yeah.
No, he's over in Bratislava.
I'm glad I know that. I thought he passed away.
Are you serious?
Let me.
Please.
First of all,
my wife was talking to Susan the other day.
Don't ever let me change. I just obviously dead wrong and apologize. I'll double check that, but keep
You're
going.
probably thinking of the founder of Home Depot that was 95. In any event, so I saw them that year, and Keith Primo really had an amazing series against them in the semifinals. Preems was unbelievable.
Sorry, Craig.
Yeah. I
never done that before.
I often accuse him of looking like he's dead, but
Okay.
in any event.
Wow.
He had a real issue. Him and Vinny LeCavalier were like knocking heads, and Vinny couldn't stand him. Craig Ramsey's job as the father figure was to keep the boy calm because he wanted to be traded away. Well, finally, Torts, and I primed him on this stage and set him up about how he pulls things out of players, how he forces them to be the best they can be and blah, blah, blah. And I brought up Vinny. He said, oh, my God, we were like oil and water. We were fighting each other. And he said, finally, I like to bring it up in front of the whole team. I don't like to have a private meeting with somebody. I want everybody to hear it. I don't treat anybody different.
Really?
He said, I went at him after a game, and I really ripped him. And Vinny got up, and he came at me, and he said, blank you. He said, let's go. And Torch said, thank you, Vinny, finally. And he hugged him. He said, you finally got it. Now, in that final, he fought Jerome McGinley in Game 5 that I had, Brad. 2 captains. Iggy was a tough guy, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he could really go. And they started behind the net, and it was 2 captains, and Vinny did really well, surprised Jerome, but it spurred on his teammates.
It's interesting. Captains can boost a team in more ways than one. They can get it done. I hate to bring up, I know Brad doesn't like this, and I don't like it either, but you brought it up, Kerry, and the Flyers have started slow. We talked about last year. Brad and I talked about the expectations being different. The CNC factor, I call it. I hate to talk about Carter Hart not being here, Cutter Gauthier. How much of those 2 guys, Brad, derail whatever's going on right now, or is that just irrelevant?
Well, the question that you were going to ask both of us, but you got sidetracked with Kerry was what's one word, what's wrong
yes,
with,
I did.
With the Flyers.
And I got people dead that aren't dead. I'll get better, don't worry.
I would say the goaltending has not been consistent, and people forget at how good Carter Hart was at the start of the last year. Carter was outstanding. He won a lot of games on his own.
Yeah.
And when you have a goalie, especially at the start of the season with a young team, making the saves, highlight reel saves, basically he's covering up for a mistake. And so when the goalie stops the puck, that mistake, everybody forgets about it, except the coaches in the video room. But for the most part, the mistakes are gone away. They didn't happen because the goalie was there time and again to bail you out. And I quite often say Pelly did that back in 1984. We had 7 players under the age of 21 on the Flyers, and Pelly was outstanding 84-85 season, and he gave us the confidence to become a good team. And we ended up,
gave you a chance to win every night.
Yeah, and we weren't picked to be in the playoffs. We won the President's Trophy, lost obviously in the finals. But the goaltender for a young team is worth their weight in gold if they're on.
Kerry, you've been a ref. You have 28,000 games in the NHL. You are a human being. Referees are human beings, shockingly, due to what some people think. You hear what's going on the ice. You can tell the temperament of a team, the temperament of a game. How important is the chatter with the goaltender and the defense? How important is that to the mojo and just the capacity of a team to play on the ice?
Well, I think overall the ability to develop relationships with players in a productive way is really important. To be able to communicate, to be approachable, to be able to not overreact when a player gives you, the F-bombs and you just, okay, calm down, let's have a conversation. And those things are really important. Goalies, I found, Brad, they're usually off the wall, like Hexy, for example, Billy Smith. The first game I had with Billy Smith in Long Island, I skated up to his crease after the national anthem. I said, Mr. Smith, I've watched you play. I'm a big fan. I've seen you're a big playoff performer. I said, and it appears to me that you just want your crease unimpeded so you can stop the puck. And if somebody goes in that crease and bumps you, I'm going to give them a penalty. He said, great, kid, we're going to get along fine. I said, on the other hand, I've seen you use your stick to clear those guys out, and if you do that, I'm going to give you a penalty. He said, kid, if I use my stick, you better call it because everybody's going to have to see it.
That's part of officiating, Kerry. I mean, people don't realize you got to have a rapport. And in hockey, I mean, we all know there's 4 major sports in this country. In football, pretty much say anything you want. The cameras aren't right on you. You see one of these NFL films thing, you almost can't believe what coaches say. Basketball and baseball, you say one word, you look at it the wrong way, see ya. Hockey, you can say whatever you want. Why is that?
Well, first of all, I've heard from players over the last few years that the younger referees, they can't communicate with.
I was going to, sorry to jump in. That's
Yeah,
what I
no,
was going to
please.
say is your communication and the referees that you refed with back in the day, there was a communication. Every referee had their own style. You ref the
Personality.
same way, personality. Another ref would ref this way. You
Yeah.
knew that you could get away doing this because that ref didn't necessarily. The banter between the players and the referees now is non-existent.
Exactly.
And I think the current refs have been told, do not strike up a relationship. No,
That's
wrong word,
foolish.
a conversation with the players, and
Yeah.
they just seem they stuck up. They seem better. They think they're better than the player, et cetera, et cetera.
I
et
didn't
cetera.
want to have to call penalties.
And
I would tell Brad, listen, hey, bud, like you got the grip on him pretty tight. You got to relax a little bit. Next time I'm going to have to do it. So, call a penalty. So
Yeah.
that's what's lost.
What's lost is that refereeing is anything else about interpersonal skills and communicating as human beings. Brad, a very respected veteran, last bunch of years on the ice. You a very respected ref. There's a way to get the point across and get the job done without being an English butler, but also without being a tyrant that wants to kill someone. We're going to talk about a guy when we come back named Cody Beach. Who? Cody Beach. A couple reasons he's very interesting to me. Kerry and Brad will talk about him when we come back. Independence Blue Cross on the ice from Chickies and Pete's in Glassboro on the campus of Rowan University. Come on down, say hi. We're back right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Make a selection from our seasonal food menu, then unwind with one of our sensational cocktails. The South Philly Sizzle, made with Bird Gang Habanero Tequila. Stateside Pumpkin Pie featuring stateside vodka, rum chata, and pumpkin puree. Delicious fiery sangria, tasty spiced apple punch, or the Campfire Mule at participating locations for a limited time. The official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Brad Marsh.
And that was our associate producer back at the station, Stephen Lawler, stepping in and giving a wonderful live rejoin. This is Independence Blue Cross On the Ice with Paul Jolovitz, Brad Marsh, our co-host, Kerry Fraser, our guest here at Chickies and Pete's. Beautiful Chickies, great atmosphere on the campus of Rowan and Glassboro, New Jersey. It's time now for the Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Player of the Week. This week is Travis Konechny in a losing effort. 4-point game, couple of goals, couple of helpers last night in Carolina. Remember to choose Independence Blue Cross today and begin to live fearless. And fearless, Brad, is what Cody Beach is all about. A lot of interesting people, Carrie, do your job refereeing. people played, come from all kinds of places. Cody Beach, Brad, is a very big guy, was a fighter in the minor leagues. His brother, Kyle Beach, was unfortunately assaulted by the Blackhawks. It caused the whole thing with Scotty Bowman and Joel Quenneville and everything with their Black Aces from the Cup team. So Cody's got that on his mind. Obviously, he became a referee after beating the tar out of 8 million people. In fact, Kerry, I don't think he ever ref with them, but I read a thing about him and said at his first camp he apologized to all the refs for being who he was. Said, I'm on your side now. How many refs do you remember that played? I know Paul Stewart, but did you ever have a ref when you played that was a fighter, a good player?
Kevin McGuire comes
Mags,
to mind.
for sure.
Mags,
Yeah.
He played, well, I'd have to look up this. He played a number of years in the league with
Buffalo,
the Leafs.
especially,
Buffalo, the Leafs.
Yeah.
Actually, he played for the Flyers, too.
Yes,
Kevin
that's
McGuire.
right.
Played
That's
for the
right.
Flyers.
Yeah.
And he became a referee, linesman, then referee, did it both. And I don't know how long he was referee linesman, but he lives in the Toronto area. I see him quite often, and really, really super guy. So you
Great
must have
guy.
you must have reffed
I
with
did.
him.
I worked with Mags. Really a great guy, and he was a really bona fide heavyweight guy.
Yep.
Tough, like Irishman. You just wouldn't quit. And the transition to referees it's not always successful. I mean, we had Paul Stewart. He did over 1,000 games. Stewie, you got to give him credit. He lasted for 1,000 games, but whether you like him or didn't like him, he got the job done. I had to tell him to throw his scrapbook away because he was challenging guys to fight on the ice. Yeah.
Wow.
He was trying to promote fights, and he said, I'll take you over there in the corner. So
If
I
a
said,
ref gets into a fight, is the other ref now responsible for everything on the ice? Did that ever happen?
no, the famous words, let him go, right, Brad?
Oh, yeah.
But so we also, Dean Morton was a former player,
Yep.
Detroit Red Wing pick. He played one game in the NHL.
Scored.
And scored a goal in his first NHL game. Morty had a long career. But if you look at the echelon, whether it's like a team where you have your core players, your top echelon guys, and the guys that did the transition from player to officials, they never quite achieved that highest level, be it playoffs, Stanley Cup finals.
Stanley Cup Finals, you refed a lot of them, obviously. Brad was in a couple. Brad played a long time ago. You didn't ref that long ago. I watched hockey a long time ago, and now, it seems like now it's a different game, Brad, especially in front of the net. If I said to you, what one rule, if you could become Gary Bettman overnight and change the rule by proxy, what rule would you change, either a small one, a big one, whatever, to make hockey a better game in 2024?
I'd put the red line back in, to take away that long stretch pass. And they put it in because it looks wonderful in the Olympics. But you got to remember in the Olympics you have, especially when the top hockey nations are playing, you have the best playing the best. And the ice is obviously a little bigger. And when one of the best defensemen in the world rounds that net, he can hit that guy going through the middle because of his skill. If you look at the National Hockey League, not every defenseman is Mark Howe. Not every defenseman is top. And then with the increased coaching, they've devised the plan of how to utilize the no red line and the lack of the good passer. And a lot of times the puck comes out and the guy straddles the far blue line and the guy just fires the puck up to the far blue line. He tips it in. The first guy in forces, then they change. You got that 27-second shift going. It drives me crazy. And so with this, taking the red line out, there's never a constant or a steady or a pressure forecheck going on, because if there's a guy hanging back here, you as a defenseman, you as the high forward, you got to be aware of that. So like when I played, the defensemen were always, you get it 3 feet into the blue line, past the blue line in the offensive zone. Even though I was not a goal scorer, if I'm 3 feet in the offensive zone, you're still creating the mirage or whatever that we have 5 guys on the forecheck. The forecheck is non-existent anymore, and I would get rid of that red line rule in a minute.
Still on the ice, but obviously the rule that doesn't apply to it anymore. Kerry, when you were officiating, you ref for a long time, I'm sure this happened maybe 1 or 2 incarnations. Did you ever call a penalty or a rule that you put your hand up or did whatever you had to do where inside you were thinking, this is really stupid?
Yeah. There were ones that I put my arm up and wish I could have chewed my arm off because I thought, oh man, you blew this one, kid.
Not a bad call, a bad rule.
Just to Brad's point, I want to touch on that because when I did the Olympics in Nagano the first year that they allowed us in '98, wider ice, no body contact. You'd go to finish a check, and by the time you got there, the puck had be gone anyway, and you couldn't finish the check. So it was not that North American physical game that we love growing up playing. But to your point, in the '84-'85 Stanley Cup, that was my first trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. Flyers, Oilers, and the Oilers had a power play, and we're one referee, and I'm on the goal line. And with a power play, I have to go as deep as the deepest forechecker. So if they set a guy up in the slot, I'm back almost to the goal line. Paul Coffey would come around the net. He would pressure down on his stick, and I would see the ice ahead of me. I knew that they had Glenn Anderson at the blue line. At the far blue line, they might have had Messier and Gretz in the middle.
As Larry David would say, pretty good, huh?
Pretty darn good. But as soon as that puck was released, I was already in motion to chase the play because at the blue line, because we had the red line offside pass, it was tipped to the far blue line to keep that guy onside. Stick over the blue line, tip, bang, boom, and now they're charging at the net. And as a referee, you've got to try and catch the play. I wanted to be on the goal line when there was a play at the goal line. So it was crazy. I had two penalties, guys, that I put my arm up, was going to call, and I rescinded them. I took the penalties away. One was Murph was coaching the Los Angeles Kings. There was an offside play. Guy carried the puck in. He was offside by 10 feet carrying the puck, and there was no whistle, and I'm waiting, and then all of a sudden the attacker for the Kings gets hooked down. My arm goes up. Then I hear a whistle at the blue line. I went to the linesman. I said, what's going on? He said, it was offside at the blue line. I said, holy shit. He said, I just couldn't find my mouth. I missed my mouth with the whistle. I went to
Maybe
Terry.
that was Leon Stickle back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Pretty famous call, or lack of one.
Yeah. Well, I asked Stick about that. I said, Stick, that was like 6 feet offside. How could you miss that? He said, I'm better on the close ones.
You actually told me a story. I like to ask refs when I get to know them a little bit. What's the worst call you ever made in every sport? Obviously, every ref, you would think they hate telling. Refs love telling that. Kind of humanizes you, whatever. The one you told me about Montreal, about the defenseman, is one of the greatest I've ever heard. Do you remember the one I'm talking about?
Is that the one where I didn't know who
The delayed penalty, yeah. Can you tell that one?
Well, on a delayed penalty, and there's lots of action going on, the arm's up, 30 seconds or so, the play's going on. There was a player going through the 2D, and one of them hooked him, grabbed him, pulled him off the puck. They maintained possession. I got a delay on. I blow the whistle. I go to the D guy that I think grabbed him. I said, you got 2 minutes for holding. He said, it wasn't me. I said, who was it? He said, it was my partner. He sold out his D partner. So I said, okay, partner, let's go.
You ever have that happen to you, Brad?
Not to my knowledge, but back to Leon Stickle, we were talking about referees with personality. Leon was a great guy.
Yeah.
Really good guy. I remember when I broke in the 70s, there's quite often that you would end up in the same bar after a game, and you would have a few beers with the referees. But Leon was a great guy, and
funny guy.
And he forever, when he reffed a game in Philly and they announced them, he'd still get the rest.
20 years.
Still get the.
1973, Brad. I'm sitting at home in Sarnia. I got a Sunday off. I'm working as a referee in the minor pro leagues, American League, Central Pro League. And I get a call from Scotty Morrison. He said, you've got to go to Philadelphia today to work as a linesman with Wally Harris, the referee, Leon Stickles, the linesman, because Claude Béchard got hurt last night in Long Island. Now, I'm scared to death. I mean, this is 73-4. This is the Broad Street Bullies, the whole deal, and they're playing the Atlanta Flames. They had a lot of juice going against you big time. So we have a fight early, break it up. Things are good. I'm feeling pretty good. And Stickle hands me the puck for an end zone faceoff in the third period. He said, we got a commercial stoppage. Just I said, well, how am I going to know when to drop the puck? He said, well, I'll give you the wave over at the penalty box. So I'm standing there. I told Clarkey and Bennett, Kurt Bennett, other centermen, I said, boys, we got a commercial timeout. No problem. They're waiting. Finally, Wally Harris, the referee, comes over and he says, can I ask what the hell you're doing? I said, I'm waiting for the signal from Stickle. The commercial's on. He said, the game isn't even televised yet, dumbass. Drop the puck. Stickle's over there laughing.
Well, guys play pranks on the ice. Refs get into it, too. We're talking stories with Kerry Fraser, Brad Marsh. Great stuff. Flyers play tomorrow night against the Tampa Bay Lightning on the second game of a 3-game Southern swing. We are back here at Chickies and Pete's in beautiful Glassboro, campus of Rowan, with On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Having fun. Back right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. We're teaming up with Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown for a new wing flavor this football season. A.J. Brown's Sweet Heat Wings. We combine the sweet and spicy flavors A.J. loves, plus a portion of the proceeds benefit the A.J. Brown Foundation and its focus on empowering underprivileged youth. At participating locations for a limited time, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Brad Marsh.
More quality from Stephen Lawler back at the station. It's now time for the Smart Stat of the Week. Brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today, my buddy Danny, 1-866-PAY-EASY. That's 1-866-PAY-EASY. We don't shy away from anything here. This week, Flyers are last in the NHL, 4-8-1 with 9 points. They say rock bottom is a place all comebacks start from. So orange and black, time's yours. Hopefully get it going tomorrow night in Tampa Bay. That was your Flyers Smart Stat of the Week. Once again, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions, catering to small, medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. Call them once again at 1-866-PAY-EASY. Brad Marsh, Kerry Fraser with us. Guys, you played and rapped at the same time. You ever have any stories on the ice to tell about Kerry, Brad?
No, we talked about the rapport that referees had, and anything that was yelled in the heat of the battle. And back then, the refs could give it back. Like, it was never like a visible fight or argument at the TV camera, but it was, what the hell are you doing? Then the ref would say something back to you. And then the game's gone. Like I said, a lot of times we'd end up in the same, back in the early days, end up in the same bar.
Exactly.
And there was never anything carried over in the bar.
Okay.
Brad was a class act on the ice, though.
He seems to me Brad was a very respected guy, class act on the ice.
He was a leader. He was a leader as well. And
but could he say something that Vinny Bombats couldn't, if you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, I think Tim Kerr, okay? Timmy Kerr was such an awesome guy. I mean, he still is. He was such a gentleman on the ice. And I did my homework before a game. I saw that Tim Kerr, I went in the press room, got the notes, as I always did, grabbed a coffee and started reading what the two teams did previously. Is there any animosity? Tim Kerr was on a slump. He hadn't scored in like a dozen games. That for a guy, a 50-goal scorer, I mean, that's huge, right? So there was a play going to the net, and he kicked it right at the crease with his skate, and he reached with his stick, and I thought he just missed it, across the line, and I disallowed the goal. This wonderful human being went ape shit on me. He unloaded on me like I never heard out of his mouth.
So you knew you were wrong.
Well, I just understood his frustration, and I got away from him. I didn't want to give him a penalty. The very next shift, Tim Kerr came out. The gentleman that he is, he said, Kerry, I apologize. He said, I'm really sorry the way I talked to you, like cursing at you. But he said, I just want you to know, just before that puck crossed the line, I tipped it with my stick. I said, Tim Kerr, you're an honest man. If you say you touched that puck, you touched it, and I'm so sorry. The very next shift, he scored a goal and got off the schneid.
Did he give you the puck?
Luke Robitaille one time, he's the same situation I'm reading. He's got this milestone goal, like 200 or whatever, and the game's in L.A. And so I see him, he's choking the stick. Like, Luke was a sniper, right? He's stressed out. So I said to him at the stoppage of play, I said, Luke, just shoot the puck. Shoot the puck, you're a sniper. Very next shift, he shoots the puck, he scores the goal. He came up to me, he said, I wish you were my coach.
All right, guys, Luke Robitaille was drafted in the 1984 draft by the Kings after what player who became a Hall of Famer in the sport of baseball, Brad? Do you know this?
Nope.
You know, Kerry?
No, I don't.
Tom Glavine of the Atlanta Braves was drafted before Luke Robitaille in the NHL draft. Some guys make the right choice. Looks like both those guys did, huh?
Now, don't tell me he's passed away.
No.
Okay.
No. Craig Ramsey, I am so sorry. You're never going to let me forget this. That's all right.
My heart stopped.
It should. You talk about, Brad, how referees and players drink after games, fraternize. Kerry, I'm not saying you took that to a different level. It just happened to lead to something different with Mike Keenan. Can you tell us about that?
Well, sure. I mean, I got along really well with Mike. He always picked on a player on his team or even a trainer sometimes. He had to have disruption. But with me, we always had a great relationship, communicating. The year before 1987, Kathy and I were doing a search to relocate from Canada, our hometown, Sarnia, Ontario. Brad, Hall of Fame London Knight, by the way, played junior there, and just down the road. So we found the Philly market was the absolute best for travel and for schooling and for everything else. And guys that were traded away or retired, they came back or they stayed in this area. Big endorsement of the hockey community. There was a house for sale. Mike Keenan's house was for sale because he got fired that summer, 1988, and went off to Chicago. So we bought Keenan's house.
Wow.
Now, Keenan went from Chicago, won the Cup with the Rangers, St. Louis, Boston. And the game in Boston, now we're in the two-referee system, Marshy. He is unloading on my young French referee partner at a stoppage of play. I'm the back ref, and I got to do the line change. I wanted to get him off the kid, so I went over to the bench, and I put my finger in his face, and I said, Mike, that effing house you sold me, the roof's leaking. All the guys on the bench started laughing. Keenan backed up. His eyes got big. He's hands up. He said, Kerry, honest, I thought I got it fixed.
This is how many years after you bought the house?
This was, four teams later.
Wow.
And 2 weeks later, we had a rainstorm in Voorhees. I had 3 fireplaces, and the water's pouring down the chimney.
Wow, that's good. Brad, on the other side of that, is there any ref that you didn't get along with, you just didn't like? I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I don't know if didn't like is the right term because, as I said, away from the rink, everybody's good. But there are some refs I never remember Bob Myers.
Oh, of course. Moose.
But he always seemed to call the bad penalties. And, of course, the bad penalties usually are in a losing effort, so then that magnifies the calls. They're probably good calls, the good penalties, and so on and so on. But it just remember Bob Myers always seemed to be the ref when we lost a big game, and so a number of my teammates, it was Bob Myers.
He was an apple orchard, apple farmer.
Apple farmer.
Copetown, near Hamilton.
All right, apple farmer. You've retired. You're into golf a lot.
Yeah.
This Phoenix Open, which this year, let's say, rode off the rails a little bit. The 16th hole.
It was a disaster.
They kind of let it go too far. But if you could tell everybody about your son and the involvement in that, it's fascinating.
Well, the son-in-law has a major golf travel company called allaccessgte.com. All Access GTE stands for Golf Travel and Events. And one of the most fun events that I've ever been to, with all the things that we've done in our sport, is the Waste Management Phoenix Open. He has 5 luxury boxes on number 16. We were
Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah, we were sitting greenside. I mean, if a player hit it off the green, you could almost reach down and touch him on the head. It was so much fun. But this last year, it just got ridiculous with the alcohol and some of the stupidity. So they're gonna dial it back. But Ryan's company, I mean, we do overseas trips every year. Last year we were in Ireland, 20 guys. Buddies, besties, and riding around in a beautiful luxury Mercedes bus with toilet, 2 fridges, card tables, the whole deal. And it's really, when you think about all that we've done, Brad, and the times we missed things, and you start thinking about our bucket list, right? When we get to, like, I'm 72 years old, and I still do a lot of charity things. That really turns my crank. Getting back with like Mark Messier and Adam Graves, and we raised in 2 events. We raised $650,000 in one 24-hour period, and in the next one at Sabonic Golf Club, the auction brought in $750,000.
Wow!
I mean, it's amazing to be able to, and you do so much with the Warriors.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about that, because that touches the heart. Our golf organization, we support the Patriot Fund, which has saved the lives of special ops guys that have come back with some issues.
Awesome. Yeah, Brad, you coach them. You have a lot of success, and it's very selfless. It's a wonderful thing. What's going on with the Warriors these days?
Well, we were on our way to Tampa Bay in October for the Warrior Championship. There's 38 and 39 Warrior programs throughout the U.S., and unfortunately it was the same weekend as the hurricane. So that got canceled or postponed. I don't know if they'll replay it or reschedule it, but we had 4 teams going down for the championship, all of different levels. And so, as I've said many times, we started with a Learn to Skate program, and it's just grown from there. And it's a wonderful group of guys, and we've created a hockey program that now gives these veterans a sense of community. Their wives are very involved, very active, and it's just been a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I blow the whistle, but now I have so many more friends that I can. I've met so many more people that I can call friends. And they do tremendous things in the community as well.
Servicemen, it is unbelievable. It's a great thing. Every time Brad co-hosts, I want to ask him about the Warriors, because it's such a wonderful thing. You guys are joined by a word. I mean, you can have any 2 people joined by any group of words. There are a lot of words that are feared in the English language. If you're walking across the street, people yell car. You guys are a little different than most people, because you both had your travails through this game of hockey that we love so much that I wish I would have played, but God decided I was going to do a show instead. The word helmet would be something that would strike fear in either one of you guys. Brad was the next to last guy in the NHL other than Craig McTavish to not wear one. You could never wear a helmet. Tell us about that word and what's meant in your life. Either one of you wants to go first.
Well, I guess we're in the same boat. When I broke in the NHL and you started refereeing, nobody wore a helmet.
Right.
And for the few players that wore a helmet in the 70s, you were referred to as a chicken bleep, you know what I mean? And it was as simple as that. And so when I wore a helmet when I played junior hockey, but when I made the NHL, I actually wore a helmet my first couple games with the Atlanta Flames. And but there was always something. Take your helmet off. Take your helmet off. You know, be like Bobby Baun and be like Alan Stanley and Tim Horton, et cetera, because you know I was a Leaf fan growing up in London, Ontario. So I took it off because I wanted to be like them, and it felt good to be playing. You know, with the big head of hair flowing and all that kind of stuff.
And then blocking a shot.
But I was like the guys that I watched on TV. So really, it was a no-brainer for myself.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because I maintain that there was an element of respect. As tough as the hockey was in the 70s, brawling, crazy kind of stuff that went on. If a player was vulnerable, I heard a guy say, "Heads up, I'm coming," and he would hit just off him a little bit. He would not paste his face into the glass. There was that keep the stick down because the guy's head's vulnerable. And Mac T, Craig McTavish, last guy, and correct me if I'm wrong, we believed that you developed an extra sense of awareness when you weren't protected.
You had to.
There was like radar. And I've seen... Like, I had a pucks, I was trying out a vest one time. A guy from Strathroy, Ontario, designed this flak jacket for referees, and I said, yeah, I'll give it a try, and he told me it'll disperse this and that. So I've got a game in Boston, we're two-referee system. I'm leading the play into the zone on a power play. Sean O'Donnell, at the far side red line, pounds a slap shot. It's coming about 90 miles. He's going to do a cross and end around, and it's coming right at me, and I'm thinking, like, 15 feet inside the blue line, I think, I'm going to take this one in the chest. I squared up because it was at the right height. I want to see if this thing's going to work, right? Like, talk about stupid. So all of a sudden, the puck started to come higher. I knew it was going too fast and too high, and I hit the deck, and I felt it brush my hair. And Edwards, the play-by-play guy for Boston, says,
Jack Edwards.
Jack, and down goes Fraser. Gordy Kluzak says, and not a hair out of place.
Yeah.
Not a hair.
But you know what? I saw that puck coming slow. It was like, I can see this. I can take this.
Yep.
And that's your reaction time that you develop.
Well, you're right. You know, you're more aware of what's going on the ice. But players, as you said, they also respected the players, and there wasn't the hitting from behind.
Right.
They would look at you straight on, one-on-one, and beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
But they would not dirty cheap shots, etc.
Gentleman's code. Yep.
In '88, I had the concussion, and I wore a helmet the rest of the year. And then I went to the Leafs the following year, and I decided to take it off. During the 30 games that I wore that helmet, I was never hit with so many cheap shots, high sticks from behind, and I said, I got to take this thing off. It's too dangerous. And, you know, I use the example of my kids. You know, they play the little floor hockey down in the basement when they're growing up. Never a problem. It's great. Put them all down there and close the door, and it's like we got a babysitter. You know, Santa Claus brings them helmets for Christmas. The next thing you know, you're down breaking up a stick fight. They're hitting each other over the head. You know, shinny hockey is the backbone of Canada. If there's a frozen pond, there's kids playing hockey on. They're not wearing helmets.
Yeah.
And they're for all ages and so on. There's never a problem on the ice. You asked me about a rule change, and we were just talking about this and this when you mentioned awareness. The one rule that I think was terrible, and Brian Burke was in charge when he brought it in, I was raised, and this was the hockey code for forever. If you're going to hit me, you can protect yourself. If you still want to come and hit me, and you lose your teeth, that's on you because I'm protected. I couldn't go like this.
No.
But if I pass the puck and I put my stick like this and you hit me,
come and get it.
Then it's go. But Brian Burke says you must take the hit. And then the injuries went sky high.
Yeah.
I would change that rule.
I agree.
There's a code in sports. I mean, it's fascinating for me to sit here every time because people break rules, referees, players, but there's certain ways to play and things that are on the ice. Sports police their own leagues. You see it in all sports. If somebody thinks a guy's gone overboard, they tell him. We're here with Kerry Fraser and Brad Marsh. When we come back, I want to know if Kerry Fraser prefers a one-referee system or two. What Marcy thinks of Matvei Michkov and the Flyers coming back and maybe getting back into the playoff race very early in the year. Kerry's going to tell some torch stories, bunch of stuff here at Chickies and Pete's in Glassboro, Rowan University. Great food, great fun. Come on down, have a night here. Back after this. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, celebrating football season with special new menu items. The Kelsey Combo, created by number 62 himself, a handcrafted barbecue burger, world-famous crab fries, and an ice-cold garage beer. Our incredible jumbo soft pretzel, Chicky style, with a heaping skillet of our own in-house crab dip, and our delectable sweet heat wings, where a portion of the proceeds go to the A.J. Brown Foundation. Participating locations for a limited time. Chickies and Pete's.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. For a final time, once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Brad Marsh.
And back here, final segment at Chickies and Pete's in Glassboro. Next week, Jim Watson will join us at Chickies and Pete's in Warrington. We do this every week, 6 to 7, On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Brad Marsh with us today, Kerry Fraser, our guest. Kerry, the 1 and the 2 referee system, you refereed the NHL for many, many years, many, many playoffs, many, many big games with 2 referees. Then it went down to 1. Obviously, things are different there. I never refed a game. You ref 3 or 4. What do you prefer, 1 or 2, and what's the biggest difference to you?
Well, if Brad's rule change was put into effect with the red line back in, 1 referee could do the job.
Okay.
Because you're not having to sprint to the far blue line on a stretch pass.
And you're a great skater, by the way.
Yes,
of the thing that,
well, thank you. And I made a little game with myself to be on the goal line when the play was there. I would sprint like crazy. And a part of it, as players develop their vision of the ice and knowing what's going to happen, not now, but 3 moves down the board, that's what a referee has to do. And that's where I'm seeing some of the problems with the officials today. They're stuck in quicksand. They're standing stiff-legged in the attack areas that players want to play the puck. And you know as a player where the battles are. Down low behind the goal line. I see players standing at the referees standing at the trapezoid line, and they're going to get collapsed on from both sides. They stand there, and they're in the way, and then they're blocking. They're not seeing things. So the 2-referee system in the current situation, and Gary Bettman begged us to get rid of the hooking and the holding and the obstruction, as it was called back then. The best camera angle, if you think about broadcasting a game, is the front view. I can see from the front, if I hook Brad, is the stick on him? Is he grabbing it? Is he pulling it in? Is he bending over on it? But from behind, you don't get that perspective.
Brad, how much of hockey, how much of the kind of condiment stuff that players go through that people watching may not think about, reading the referees, reading the tea leaves, knowing if it's being called close or tight that night. How much of hockey is knowing where the ref may let you go in any given game?
I don't think the refs let anybody go now.
No.
And that's what's very frustrating is because so many penalties. You're like, where's the call?
It's got to be a feel for the game.
And where's the call? And with regards to the two refs, it's been here how many years?
Since '98, we started to phase it in. In 2000, we went full bore with 2 refs.
Yeah, so it's been here. It's not going anywhere.
No.
And so you just got to get used to it. I just think that the referees, there's too many rules for them, and they have the rules committee, and every year they meet with GMs, and I don't know if there's players on it or whatever, and they talk about how they can improve the game, and they sit there.
Competition committee.
And they sit there and they talk about this and talk about this, and I've talked to GMs that have sat there, and they're looking like, what the hell are you talking about? But then next thing you know, it's voted through. Like the game of hockey is played by men, women. I'm using that just as a statement. The game of hockey is tough. It's played by grown-ups and young kids, but they play tough. They play hard. The women's game is hard, man. Did you ever referee a women's game?
No, I saw the Olympics though.
Yeah, but they play hard. They compete hard. They
you can't even tell it's women. I mean, they're so good.
And
skill.
The point being is that's what fans love about hockey is they compete hard.
Physicality.
And when you have a referee taking away that hard play, the physical play for something that nobody, including the 20,000 people sitting there and all the other people.
You were so bang on, I got to tell you.
What the hell's going on?
Well, here, just like a defense pairing, okay? You have to work in sync with your partner, right? The same thing had to happen with the 2-referee system. We had to mesh. I had to know instinctively. And it got to the point with these young guys coming in from the American League, they wanted to be recognized. It was their game. They wanted to be in control. So there was a competition for who's going to call the penalties by these younger guys.
You ever have a game where you're calling everything and your partner's calling nothing or vice versa, and the players are completely confused?
Well, sometimes it just happens that the fouls, the infractions occur in your area of coverage. But I got to tell you, I would have a pre-discussion meeting with the young referee because I was sick and tired of having calls made 100 feet away when I'm standing 10 feet from looking at a play. And I said to these young guys, listen, I really trust your judgment. You're good. If you're on the play and you're looking at it, I'm going to give you that. That's your judgment. You make the call. Conversely, I'm not too bad with the judgment either. When I'm looking at something, I don't want to have you blowing a whistle from 100 feet.
All right, we only got about a minute, guys. We've flown through this show. We could go 10 hours with the great stories. Flyers, Brad, have Matvei Michkov. You talked about indoctrinating yourself into the game, knowing what's called, and the fans. He's come over, had to do that all at once, triangulated, off to a big start. What do you expect from Matvei Michkov as we go forward?
It's hard to say because the team is struggling, and I don't, as good as he is, and hopefully as great as he's going to become, he's not in the position to take the team on his back or on his shoulders and say, "Come on, boys, follow me." He's not Wayne Gretzky. He's not Mario Lemieux. Maybe he will be at some point in time, but right now, I just want to see him continue to be a rookie, continue to work hard every shift, every game, every practice, et cetera, and let him grow into a leadership role.
All right, got about 30 seconds.
I want to see him protected. I want to see this kid develop his skills in the North American game, and I'm going to really throw a curveball at you. Nick Delorier, I saw him play 3 games, and he was really effective. I saw the one game where he created scoring ops on his own. He was on fire, and that's from sitting. He's a proud guy, and I think he makes a guy like that, especially in the Philadelphia market, makes players stronger.
There's a guy named Nick Delorier in Washington that doesn't have that on his jersey. It's Tom Wilson. I agree. I think that's the kind of player they definitely need. Guys, I've had such a blast tonight. We could do this again forever. Brad Marsh and Kerry Fraser both with us. Kerry, thanks for taking time out and continue the good work with the military and all your good stuff. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, guys. It's great to have you.
Brad, enjoyed it. Hopefully the Flyers get going. We'll see you next week at Warrington with Jim Watson. Have a great week.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next Wednesday.
next Wednesday. We'll be here 6 o'clock. Chickies and Pizza Warrington with Jim Watson. Chris Herman produced this show. Stephen Waller went beyond the call of duty back at the station. We always appreciate it. For Brad Marsh and Kerry Fraser, I'm Paul Jolovitz saying for the Independence Blue Cross on the ice, have a great week, Flyers. Go hockey.
That was fun, guys.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3.